What's up, guys? Got another new video for you. This is Tuned In Sports. My name's Bryson.
I'm Steve.
And today we've got another video for you. This is the NHL Weekly Tuned In Sports video. Because this is kind of the first one that we've done where it's like a weekly thing, we're just going to kind of talk about the teams as a whole so far. And then next week, when we do this video, we can go ahead and
break down the games.
Yeah, break down like the week's games. But because we don't really have a week to talk about, because we haven't really done outside of one hockey video, we haven't really touched on hockey too much. So as a result of that, we're just going to touch on the kind of the team's performance as a whole. Did you want to do Boston or Detroit first?
Either way.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with Detroit then. Detroit, they've got their record so far is 3-8-2. Obviously, the two being their playoff appearances that they lost. I mean, not playoff, overtime, excuse me. They lost 2 overtime games. And, they've won 3 games outright and lost 8. But technically lost a total of 10 games if you include the overtime. So, been rough so far. They're second to last in the overall record of all of hockey. And that's not necessarily great, but, it is also where they were projected also to be. So, as far as that's concerned, I don't think that this is shocking anybody at their performance so far. And, they've also been dealing with some injuries as well, which definitely doesn't help matters. So, I just think what it comes down to for Detroit is that this is kind of where they were expected to be. And, this season is going to be kind of a wash. But I look for them to hopefully, with their new ownership or whatever, not ownership, but management and stuff that they brought in and coach. I think they got a new coach as well. I look for them to hopefully make some improvements moving forward and maybe be a team that can contend in the future. But, until that happens, I just don't think they have the talent right now. To be honest with you, outside of people that have been there forever, I couldn't tell you a person on the team. And really, they just, it's been tough sledding for them for a while now, and hopefully they can get things turned around because, they used to be one of the more consistent teams, and I'm not just talking about consistency in Detroit sports. I'm talking about just in hockey in general. They used to be kind of what the Bruins, like the Bruins, where they may not win the cup every year, but you can guarantee that you'll run into them come playoff time. You know what I mean? That you're going to have to go through them if you want to win. You can pretty well guarantee that they're going to be a tough out no matter what. But, these last handful of years, I know the owner died, right? And, since then... Well, not even since then. The last handful of years before he passed away weren't so great either. But especially since the owner died, it's been, pretty crappy down there. But hopefully, some people can get in there and turn it around. And, unfortunately, it's not going to happen this year. But, maybe they can get some players in there and make something happen. And, in some respects... I feel like they're kind of fortunate that they don't really have much because with all these expansion teams being added in and them having free reign to pick and choose whoever they want, I don't know how many, appetizing people they're going to be looking at for Detroit. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tough. I know Seattle's going to be created next year, so if they have any young talent that looks pretty good, they could be gone, and there's nothing really Detroit could do about it. I think you can put a save or whatever on a couple of players, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
like put a couple players off limit and then everybody else is up for grabs. But we'll see. I mean, it's tough, and it's not gonna be easy for a while. But like I said, I don't think it's a surprise.
No, it's like every other team in Detroit. We're in a rebuild. I mean, that's just what we do. It's really depressing to see this team playing so bad. I watched the game the other night, and I was sitting here like, man, this is just ridiculous, and it's horrible. There's no defense, and when you're spending the whole game on your own side of the ice, I mean, good luck. I mean, the shots on goals are just not where they should be. Like you said, there's a lack of talent right now. They got a lot of young talent that's not developed yet. And I mean, I can't sit here and talk like I'm like Mr. Hockey because I haven't paid attention to him all that much over the last few years. It's been depressing to think about. They, went from being one of the better teams in the league to more or less being a doormat now. So
yeah, you've had other misery to focus on.
Every team in Detroit sucks. That's the bottom line. I mean, no matter where you look, it's just shit.
Yeah, the Red Wings were the last ones to go.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just, we're in a rebuilding stage right now. I do like a couple of their players, but overall, I mean, it's just a young team, and they're going to need to, hopefully acquire some talent or maybe through the draft, maybe build a little bit more. They're young in a lot of areas, so, I mean, with that being said, that would be good. But, but they have, like Bryson mentioned, they have some players out due to injury, but so does everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the Zetterbergs and Bertuzzi and some of these guys that were fairly prominent players for the Red Wings are now sitting on the sidelines. So, I mean, the good thing is the next man up approach gets some of these young guys more ice time than maybe what they would have seen previously.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, even if it is in a learning, a learning mode right now, when next time they're able to get on the ice, it's going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Every game they play, they're going to get better because they're going to learn something. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's all about experience and building, confidence within your teammates and stuff like that, and understanding roles and and that kind of stuff. So, I'm hoping that things will turn around for the Red Wings and we can start to get to be competitive again. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. As I look at some of the stats of this team, I think they're ranked around 29th or so on the average for
everything.
Yeah, I mean, their defense sucks. Goals against is horrible. Goals for is bad. I mean, they're averaging 2 goals a game, 4, and then the goals against is over 3. So, almost 4. So, which basically means we're losing by 2 goals every night.
Yeah, on average.
Right.
On average, you're losing by more than 1.
Right. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where, eventually I think, I like the acquisition of, I like the idea that Yzerman's there now. And I think, if anybody's capable of turning it around there, he would be. Just because he spent his whole career playing in Detroit, so he definitely understands, the city of Detroit, the fans, the history of it, the expectations that come along with it. And I mean, I can't think of a better person to put it, to have it put in the hands of than Steve Yzerman. So I'm very happy about him being there. And really, it's a shame that he wasn't there initially. But he's just, I think he's going to be, I think given a few years to get it turned around, he'll definitely get this team competitive again. I mean, let's face it, it shouldn't be that hard to get into the top 8. I mean,
well, it's just like all the sports. I mean, you put the money where your mouth is, and you can get it turned around in a quick hurry.
Yeah.
It just, some teams aren't willing to pay. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But, definitely some changes going to need to be made, and some more pieces going to need to be added because, right now, like he said, you're losing by an average of 2 goals a game, and a lot of the time, again, I wouldn't necessarily look at Detroit and say that they're just absolute garbage. I mean, there's some nights where they don't perform very well, but I feel like on average, they are in a lot of the games. They just can't find a way to win a lot of times. There have even been games where they were ahead pretty much the whole time and lost. I mean, they just do what bad teams do, at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. I mean, good teams find ways to win games, and bad teams find ways to blow it. Mm-hmm. And that's what Detroit does. And if they don't find a way to blow it, then they were never in it in the first place. I mean, for instance, they had a game the other night, I think against Dallas or somebody, where they lost like 8-1 or something like that. I can't remember who they were playing, but I mean, you have games like that where they just really come out there and pretty much get creamed. But on the average, I don't feel like the team is just devoid of any talent and they just get creamed by everybody. I feel like they play competitive hockey for the most part, but they just don't have enough, I don't think. And at the end of the day, these teams that have more end up kind of exposing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's a work in progress, Like I said before, I mean, if you're in rebuild mode, that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Detroit's doing. I mean, it's not going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to take a little bit of time. And right now, I mean, they got a lot of, like I said, they got some young talent, but everybody's kind of learning how to play with one another. And I do believe, however, that, given some time, the younger players will start getting it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully the talent will, show through at that point.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, like I said before, you got some players, but, at the end of the day, it's just a situation where, in some respects, you're starting from a lot lower because it's not like you were really good and then you just kind of had a year where you struggled and then just a piece here or there will put you right back in it, because you've been, pretty bad for a while now. And, it's hard getting back over that hump, especially when you got teams like the Lightning, the Bruins is another one, teams like that are, when they take a step back, they're still in it, you know what I mean? A step back for them is not winning the cup this year.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to take a step forward, I mean, it's like the same. And I mean, and then there's some other teams that have really, started to get relevant. Like, for instance, the Flyers, these last couple of seasons have really improved overall. I mean, I'm not saying they were horrible before, but they were never really in much of the conversation. But last year they were a game out, because they were in the not the Stanley Cup finals, but they were in the conference final. Mm-hmm. They were the one, they lost to the defending champions, the Lightning. So, I mean, that's not nothing to hold your hat on. No. I mean, they took them to 7 games too, but the Lightning won the Stanley Cup. Yep. So the fact that they took them to 7 games, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's just a lot of teams that are in it, that are tough, and then there's some new teams emerging that have kind of taken the spot that the Red Wings kind of had for a long time. I mean, even the Avalanche too. I mean, they never were that great for a while, They were just kind of average to below average, and now all of a sudden, they had really good odds to win the whole thing this year. Mm-hmm. And, obviously they're dealing with some injuries and stuff, typical Denver sports. So maybe they haven't performed to the level that maybe many were expecting. Just looking at their record and stuff, they're, kind of 7th or 8th or so in terms of overall record. And, some people might say they expected them to be a little bit higher than that. But like I said, you got injuries and stuff. But, with Detroit, if they're going to get back into it, they definitely have their work cut out for them. But I also think, like I said before, they're competitive on many nights. And I think with a piece here or there, they can at least get back to the point where they're competing for, playoff positions and stuff. I think they're a ways away from really, Stanley Cup talk. But I think they're at least a couple of pieces away from maybe being able to challenge for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Which I would be a great improvement over what they're doing now, which is just, pretty much, okay, we're projected to be dead last. Can we do better than that? Oh, great. 3rd to last. Woo!
Yep.
Nicely done, boys. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it is what it is, but it's all right. I mean, it could be worse, I think. So, overall, I mean, nothing, like we said before, nothing that you didn't really expect going in, and, nothing that you haven't seen before either.
Right. No, exactly.
So, it's not like this just started.
No.
So, you're kind of used to it at this point. But, I say probably we'll get into the Bruins now.
Yeah.
Getting into the Bruins, what I just said never really rings truer than that, which is nothing you haven't seen before. And that's kind of what the Bruins are right now, to be honest with you. They're the Bruins. They're very competitive, very tough to beat, win most of their games, and are not really an easy out for anybody. But at the end of the day, are we going to win the championship this year, the Stanley Cup, or is it just going to be another year of playoff contention? Who knows? We'll see. Like I said, it's the same thing pretty much every season. They're very competitive. They're always a playoff team, and if you want to do something, you're going to have to go through them pretty much. But at the end of the day, not always does that equate, going to World Series. I mean, not World Series, but Stanley Cups and stuff. And, last season, or the season before last season, we made it to the finals, I believe, and lost. Mm-hmm. Or it may have been 2 seasons ago. I can't remember. I know it was, relatively recently. And since then, we are commonly a team that goes and makes it to the playoffs and wins some games and loses others. So this team, much of the same. I really like some of the things that I'm seeing out of them. There's a handful of nights where I'm not all too impressed with what I'm seeing, but it seems like even in games where they struggle a little bit, they keep it close, and that's mostly because, Tuukka Rask is so good. But, there's also been games where he hasn't performed as well as I think he should, but it's not just Tuukka Rask. It's all the teams in hockey. Mm-hmm. We're seeing this year, it seems like there's a noticeable change in the amount of goals and stuff that are being scored. And I think some of that is just the, because of the COVID stuff and the preparation that they had during the off season and how they're able to practice and things like that. And also the off season, I don't believe was as long as it normally is either. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. There's a host of probably different reasons, but seems like in general, there's more goals being scored this year anyway. So it's not just Tuukka Rask is taking a step back. It's all the teams are, having a little bit more difficulty with it than, but still, I've seen games where literally Tuukka Rask, kept it from being a complete blowout. because I mean I think it was the game I watched them play against. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a game we played against the Flyers, where literally the entire time the other team was pretty much on our side of the thing. And the fact that we didn't get absolutely pounded 8-1 or something like the Red Wings did is a mystery to me. Or no, it wasn't the Flyers. It was the Penguins. One of the games we played against the Penguins, where we ended. That was actually one of our overtime losses. Was the game I believe was the game we played against the Penguins. But man, oh man, it was just brutal out there. And I was like, good Lord, we're getting. I mean, when they spend the entire time on your end of the ice and you still keep them from scoring too much, that's all goalie pretty much. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so if we had somebody else in the goal position, we could be a lot worse. But, you know, he's performed at a high level, and I really like a lot of our players, you know. Again, a lot of guys that have been around for a while on our team. Patrice Bergeron, he's played great. Same with Brad Marchand. No surprise. Mm-hmm. You know, Marchand is one of the best scorers in hockey, as well as, you know, Charlie McAvoy. I'm always a big fan of his. He's a really good player. Mm-hmm. I like Krejci a lot as well. I think David Krejci is his name. Can't remember his first name. And David Pastrnak as well. He's really a good player. And like I said, these are not new names. These are guys that have been there for a while. But that's part of the reason that we're so consistent. Is because when we get players, we keep them. Yeah. We don't like, oh, wow, this guy looks like a good player. All right, who wants him? We keep these guys. These are guys that have been on the team for a few years. I mean, to be completely honest with you guys, I'm not somebody that is a hockey freak. As a matter of fact, up until really last season, I really didn't watch hockey at all, to be honest with you. I mean, World Cup time, not World Cup, but Stanley Cup or playoff time, then yeah, you know, if a game was on, then I'd watch it. But for the most part, I wasn't actively seeking out the hockey stuff. Mm-hmm. If the Bruins were on and it was playoff time, then maybe I'd turn it on. But for the most part, I wasn't, you know, oh, when are we playing our next game? Oh, okay, I might have to see if that's on TV or not. It was more like, oh, okay, Bruins are on. Yay. Wins football again? So that's kind of what it is for me. So, I mean, the fact that I know some of these people and I don't really watch it that much goes to say, you know, what we're doing. I mean, not to say there's no changes. I mean, obviously there's some new people and some people have left and some people have came onto the team for sure. But I'm not saying it's all just stagnant, the same people. But I'm just saying the big names are still there.
Yep.
And so the fact that I didn't really watch it much and I recognize a handful of people, it's just stability in the ownership is really what it comes down to. And stability at the coaching position, stability at the main positions, goalie, main scorers, people like that. We've been seeing these guys. Yeah. And these guys are, you know, enough to take us places. And really, I mean, all you need to do really what it comes down to is, especially in hockey, all it really takes is just getting in it. If you can make it to the playoffs, because anything can happen. A lucky bounce off somebody's stick and you got a goal. Yeah. I mean, you could not throw or shoot a good shot on goal the whole time and still perform well and, you know, have it bounce off the opponent's leg and go in. And that could be enough to win the game. You know what I mean? Whereas in other sports, that's not necessarily the case. There's not really, oh, wow, look how lucky that was. You know, but in hockey, you can have some of that. Right. Not saying there's no skill in hockey. Obviously, you know, there's tons of skill, and that doesn't happen all the time. A lot of the times, the goals that happen are very much important. But I'm just saying, in hockey, you can have a game end 1-0, and that goal could not even really be legitimate. It was just a lucky bounce in hockey. Whereas in other sports, you're generally not going to see that too much, where that's the case. Like in football, you're not going to see, oh, they got one lucky score and that was enough to win. Mm-hmm. Especially in today's league. You're more likely to see, 45-42 than you are 3-0. So, anyways, with that being said, the Bruins, I look for them to keep competing. So far, we've played some good teams. We've lost to some of them, but we've beat others. And I think so far we've swept the Flyers, or at least we've played them very toughly. And that, that's a really good sign. And I know for a while we had an undefeated record at home, which is definitely a good showing for them. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see moving forward. Like I said, sometimes all it takes is getting there.
Yep.
And once you get there, then anything can happen. But until you get there, anything can happen. And the Bruins are very, very consistent, so I expect them to, perform as such. And right now, I think they have the second best record in hockey, and I believe they're leading in their subset group.
Yep.
They're in first place. So, and of course, the teams that are ahead of them or have better records than them are the usual suspects. Tampa Bay, the same old group of people.
Yeah.
So, and that's the same thing, that the teams that we usually lose to in the playoffs or have a hard time with, Tampa Bay, the usual teams that give us some problems. Sometimes Columbus, it's nothing new, so it's just the usual Bruins season. So really, what it comes down to is once playoff time starts, what's it going to be? What are we going to look like? And if we look good, then we could definitely do something. And if we struggle a little bit, then we could not. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But, their regular season always pretty much looks the same. If they're not the 1 seed, they're 2, 3, 4.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And they're just, really, like I said, biggest thing with this team is consistency.
Yeah, they're
solid. Organization, coaching, players, consistency.
Yeah, no, they're solid.
They're what the Red Wings used to be, pretty much. But even then, I think the Bruins were like that. Mm-hmm. Even when the Red Wings were good, it's just they were on the other side. Because I don't think the Bruins and the Red Wings are in the same conference, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, they are?
I believe, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe not. I don't know. They changed.
I was gonna say they've changed stuff around so much that I don't know who the hell's where. And like I said, I don't really pay much attention to. I don't really ever pay much attention to hockey, anyways, or I didn't used to. So I didn't really even know how it was before. But especially now with teams being moved around and stuff, I'm just like along for the ride at this point.
No, Detroit's in the Central, Boston's in the East, so.
Yeah, but I think, this season it's completely different. Even more different than it was before, because now it's just like, okay, everyone's in this grouping and stuff. There's not really Eastern Conference, Western, or stuff like that, like football or basketball or any of these others, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, like I said, we'll see what happens with the Bruins, but I'm very happy so far. I've seen them play some pretty good hockey, and the usual suspects are playing really well. Brad Marchand, he's played like a beast this year, and he scored tons of goals. As a matter of fact, I think at one point he was leading the league in goals. Mm-hmm. And the thing I love about him too is it's not just goals. He gets the first goal and then you don't hear from him the rest of the night. But he makes goals when it counts too. When the game is on the line, there's not much better. Mm-hmm. There's not many better than him. Mm-hmm. So I give him a lot of credit for that. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I think probably go ahead and cap it off here unless you have something you want to add.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. So, we'll go ahead and cap the video off here. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Go Bruins and go Wings. And make sure you check out the rest of our content for basketball, football, hockey, baseball, UFC, wrestling. We got it all. So, with that being said, I'm Bryson.
I'm Steve.
See you guys in the next video.